The "Help Wanted" sign had been taped to the window for so long that the edges curled yellow in the desert sun. The tape itself had turned brown and brittle, like it had been baking there for years. I should have taken that as a warning. I'd been driving for 16 hours straight, running from a life that had collapsed in Phoenix. My girlfriend had left, taking most of my savings. My landlord had evicted me. My car held everything I owned, and my gas tank was running on fumes when I saw the Sinclair station shimmer into view through the heat waves rising off the asphalt. "You need a job?" the man behind the counter asked before I'd even finished paying for my gas. He was thin, gaunt even, with deep-set eyes that never seemed to blink. His name tag read Marcus. Maybe. Yeah. Night shift, midnight to 6, 150 cash under the table. You interested? It was more than I'd expected for 6 hours of work in the middle of nowhere. When do I start? Tonight, if you want. Marcus slid a faded uniform shirt across the counter. The fabric felt greasy between my fingers, like it had absorbed years of petroleum fumes and desperation. "I'll train you this afternoon." The Sinclair station sat 40 miles from anything that could generously be called civilization, a concrete island in an ocean of Nevada scrubland. During my training, Marcus showed me the basics. Work the register, restock the shelves, keep the coffee fresh. The place was a relic from another era. Manual credit card machine. Cash register from the 80s, shelves stocked with products I'd never heard of. "The generator kicks on at 11, he explained, showing me the breaker box. "Keeps us running when the grid gets spotty. Happens a lot out here." He walked me through the closing procedures, the cleaning routine, where to find the security footage if something happened. Normal stuff. Then he stopped at a door marked "Storage" near the back of the store. "One more thing," he said, his hand resting on the doorknob. "Whatever you do, don't go into this room after 3 a.m. I laughed. What? Is it haunted? Marcus didn't smile. His fingers tightened on the doorknob until his knuckles went white. "I'm serious. Before 3 a.m., after 3 a.m., doesn't matter. Just don't go in there during the devil's hour." "The devil's hour?" 3 to 4 a.m., when the veil is thinnest. He must have seen my skeptical expression because he grabbed my shoulder, fingers digging in hard enough to hurt. "Promise me, no matter what you hear, no matter what happens, you don't open this door between 3 and 4 a.m. Okay, I promise." He studied my face for a long moment, then nodded. "Good. I'll be back at 6 to relieve you." The first few hours passed without incident. A trucker buying energy drinks and beef jerky. A family in a minivan needing directions to Las Vegas. A couple of teenagers who reeked of weed, giggling as they bought armfuls of snacks. Normal people doing normal things. I made fresh coffee every 2 hours like Marcus had instructed, swept the floor, counted the till twice. The fluorescent lights hummed their familiar tune, occasionally flickering when the air conditioning kicked on. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly in every direction, black as the void between stars. At 1:30 a.m., a woman came in. She was maybe 40, wearing a sundress despite the cool desert night. Her feet were bare, covered in dust. "Can I help you?" I asked. She stared at me for a long moment, then walked to the refrigerated section. She stood there, door open, cold air spilling out around her feet. After 5 minutes, I walked over. "Ma'am, you finding everything okay?" She turned to me, and I noticed her eyes were completely black. Not just the pupils, the entire eye like pools of oil. "Have you seen it yet?" she whispered. "Seen what?" "What's in the storage room? What Marcus keeps locked away." My skin prickled. "I don't know what you were talking about," she smiled, revealing teeth that seemed too sharp, too many. "You will. They always look. They can never resist." She left without buying anything, disappearing into the darkness beyond the gas pumps. I locked the door behind her and checked the security footage. The cameras showed me talking to empty air for 5 minutes. At 2:47 a.m., I heard it. A sound like wet leather being dragged across concrete, coming from behind the storage room door. I froze, mop in hand, watching the doorknob. It didn't turn. The sound stopped. I went back to mopping, telling myself it was pipes or the building settling. Old places make noise. The desert does strange things to sound, that's all. At 2:52 a.m., the dragging sound returned, louder this time. Something thumped against the door from the inside. Once, twice, 3 times. I grabbed my phone to call Marcus, but there was no signal. There never was this far out. The landline behind the counter was dead too, just static when I lifted the receiver. At 2:58 a.m., the lights flickered. Not unusual for a place running on a generator, but when they steadied, I noticed the storage room door was open, just a crack. Darkness leaked out like spilled ink, deeper than the darkness should be. I checked my watch. 2 minutes until 3 a.m. Whatever Marcus was worried about, I could wait it out. I'd close the door at 3:01 and pretend nothing happened. Just 2 minutes. At 2:59 a.m., I heard breathing. Not human breathing. This was deeper, wetter, like something with too many lungs trying to fill them all at once. The door creaked wider. Cold air flowed out, carrying a smell like ozone and rotting fruit. "Hello?" My voice cracked. "Someone there?" The breathing stopped. In the silence, I heard my watch tick over to 3:00 a.m. The door swung open. I want to say I saw something step out, but that wouldn't be accurate. It was more like reality folded. Wrong. Like space twisted in a way my eyes couldn't process. The thing that emerged wasn't meant for human perception. My brain tried to make sense of it. Too many angles, surfaces that faced every direction at once, a geometry that hurt to perceive. It had no fixed form. One moment it seemed vaguely humanoid. The next, it was a writhing mass of impossible shapes. Colors that don't exist flickered across its surface. When it moved, it left after images burned into my vision, each one slightly different, as if it existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. It spoke without a mouth, words that bypassed my ears and carved themselves directly into my thoughts. "You looked." The voice was ancient, patient, almost sad. "They always look. Curiosity is such a human failing." "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I didn't mean to." "Intentions are irrelevant. You have seen what should not be seen. The price must be paid." Pain exploded behind my eyes. I dropped to my knees, hands pressed against my face, feeling warm liquid seep between my fingers. The fluorescent lights above seemed to scream, their buzz rising to an unbearable pitch. Each bulb exploded in sequence, showering me with glass and darkness. In the darkness, I heard that wet leather sound again, closer now, Something cold and wrong brushed against my cheek. It felt like mathematics given form, like touching the edge of an equation that solved for madness. "Your eyes have betrayed you," the thing said inside my mind. "They reached for knowledge that burns. Now, they must be closed." My ears popped, pressure building until I thought my skull would crack. Then, silence. Not quiet. Silence. The complete absence of sound. I opened my mouth to scream but couldn't tell if anything came out. My eyes were open. I thought they were open, but I saw nothing. Not darkness, but the absence of sight itself. "Your ears have betrayed, and you," the voice continued, though I shouldn't have been able to hear it. "They listened for secrets that should remain hidden. Now they must be sealed." I felt the thing circle me, its impossible geometry brushing against my skin. Each touch left a mark, a cold burn that went deeper than flesh. "But I am not without mercy," it said. "You will live. You will carry this lesson to others. You will be my warning." Time became meaningless. I might have knelt there for minutes or hours, trapped in my sensory void. I felt vibrations through the floor, footsteps, but heard nothing. Hands grabbed my shoulders, shook me. I tried to speak, to explain, but without hearing my own voice, I didn't know if I was whispering or screaming. They must have taken me to a hospital. I remember the sensation of movement, of being lifted and carried. The smell of antiseptic. Doctors examined me. I felt their touch, their instruments. But their words were lost to me. They wrote notes I couldn't read, asked questions I couldn't hear. The tests showed nothing wrong. My eyes were intact, my ears undamaged. Physically, I was perfect. But the connections had been severed, the pathways erased. Whatever I'd seen in that storage room had burned out something fundamental. Like staring at the sun, but worse. The sun only takes your sight. This thing took my ability to perceive. They gave me this voice-to-text software, taught me to type what I wanted to say. It took months to learn to navigate the world by touch alone. My family tried to understand, but how could they? How do you explain that you looked at something that shouldn't exist and it looked back? I learned Braille, learned to count steps, to map my world in textures and temperatures. The social worker said I was adapting remarkably well, all things considered. But she didn't know about the dreams. In my dreams, I can see and hear again. I'm back in that gas station, the fluorescent lights humming, the coffee maker gurgling. But the storage room door is always open, and the thing is always waiting. "You carry my mark now," it tells me in dreams. "You are connected to me, to this place between places." Sometimes, in what I assume is the middle of the night, I feel that same cold touch on my cheek, the same wrong geometry pressing against my awareness. It's still there, that thing from the storage room. It marked me when I looked at it, and now it can find me whenever it wants. I tried to warn others, typed out messages, had them sent to the gas station, to the police, to anyone who would listen. But Marcus was gone. The station was under new management. The storage room was just a storage room, they said, full of cleaning supplies and old inventory. But I know the truth. I've done research, as much as a blind man can. That gas station has had 17 different night shift workers in the past 5 years. Most quit after one night. 3 are in psychiatric facilities. 2 are missing. And now there's me. I found one other person through a forum for people with unexplained sensory loss. She'd worked at a truck stop in Montana. Different place, same rules. Don't go in the back room after 3 a.m. She looked too. She told me through painstaking typed conversations that these things are everywhere, hiding in the spaces we're not supposed to go, feeding on human curiosity, waiting for someone to break the rules, to look behind the curtain. They're not malevolent, exactly. They're just incompatible, like trying to run software from another dimension on human hardware. We're not built to perceive them. When we do, something has to give, and it's always us that breaks. The worst part isn't the darkness or the silence. It's knowing that thing is still out there, waiting behind other doors, in other storage rooms, in places where reality wears thin. And somewhere, someone else is working a night shift, checking their watch, thinking 3 minutes isn't too long to wait. To anyone reading this, if you ever find yourself alone at 3 a.m. and you hear something behind a door you've been told not to open, please, I'm begging you, just wait. Count to 60 if you have to. Count to 1,000. Make coffee. Clean the floors. Do anything except open that door. Because once you look, you can never look away. Once it sees you, you'll never see anything else again. And once you hear its true voice, silence becomes your only companion. I live in darkness now, in silence, in a world of touch and memory. But sometimes, in the space between sleeping and waking, I can still see that impossible geometry writhing behind my eyelids, still hear that ancient voice echoing in the chambers of my mind. You looked, it says, patient as eternity. They always look. And somewhere, in a gas station, or a truck stop, or a lonely convenience store, another night shift worker is checking their watch, hand on a doorknob, curiosity burning in their chest. God help them. God help us all.